Christian McCaffrey, 176 yards on 19 carries, 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions for 61 yards, 1 touchdown. Aaron Jones, 19 carries for 107 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 receptions for 75 yards. Michael Thomas, 11 receptions for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. Allen Robinson, 7 receptions for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley, 5 receptions for 88 yards and 1 touchdown. And Lamar Jackson, although he did have 3 interceptions, scored a touchdown. And I played against every last one of them, John. What are the odds of that?
That's like a 1 in a million chance right there.
13 total touchdowns scored against me, so I'll give you my roster. Andy Dalton, 27 points. Ezekiel Elliott, 17 points. Leonard Fournette, 23 points. Juju Smith-Schuster, 18 points. Tyler Boyd, 28 points. George Kittle, 20 points. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling, not what I called him.
I'm not going to mention what you said.
2.8 points, and I could not cut that born loser fast enough. With that being said, John, 138.4 points. And I went up against a guy who I think Ernie's still cleaning the poop out of his pants. Because that's what he did. He pooped himself this week with 213.45 points. That is what's wrong with fantasy football, John. But we're moving on.
It's a good thing you didn't have Will Fuller.
We went against Will Fuller.
Oh,
in the tag team
Will
league,
Fuller. Have yourself a career week.
but we still won.
Yeah.
But you can't. I mean, these are the weeks that make you not want to play fantasy football. 13. That's not skill. Ernie did not get 13 touchdowns on making the right start-sit decisions.
But I drafted my team.
Well, I drafted my team, you know.
He didn't get those 13 touchdowns by being the best strategist. He pooped his pants. He crapped himself. And the next time I face him,
a 150.
I will take
in our league. 150.
150 is a huge score in our league. And keep in mind, when I went through this roster, there's no defense special teams. There's no defensive player. There's no second flex. There's no kicker. 13 touchdowns. Lucky number
which is
13.
crazy.
So now every week I'm going to find out who Ernie plays, and I'm going to help them beat him.
I'm not the target anymore.
That's how it's going down. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little ticked, man. So the other cool, interesting, fun fact about this is John and I sometimes work on Sundays because this is the working class podcast and we work really hard and we don't get weekends off all the time like most of the planet does. And that's fine. But when I get a weekend off, John, or when I get a Sunday off, I want to sit down and I want to enjoy it. I have worked, how many Sundays? 2? Since the season started? What week are we going into?
We're going into week 6 now.
We're going into week 6. So I have worked, in our league of record, I have worked 2 Sundays. I have 2 wins. I have been home 3 Sundays. I have 3 losses. Because God does not like me. That's what I'm coming to the conclusion of. You know, I'm a good dad. I work hard. I abide by the laws, John. I'm a law-abiding citizen. And I get to suffer every time I'm at home to enjoy the
I go through the same thing you did, because I had this weekend off, and I lost.
But lo and behold, the power team continues to dominate the tag team league.
Yeah.
Whether
definitely.
people like it or not, John, we still dominate, and they hate it. For the record,
I
they
did
hate
get
it.
2 shout-outs to 2 people that saved our game last night. Mr. Burrito and Mr. Kittle.
Matt Burrito, I told you guys early on in the season, go get you every type of burrito you can get. Put extra cheese on it, extra, I don't know, what do they put in
He got us
burritos?
extra sour cream, beans,
Oh,
and everything
the
on
whole
top.
9 yards. And of course George Kittle. But man, that's what's wrong with fantasy is when you hang up 150 and you get beat by over 50.
Yeah.
That's tough. I'm still not over it. Welcome back to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. as we just discussed, we are the Working Class Podcast, and we are the Blue Collar Ballers, John and DJ. Check us out on our Facebook page at Armchair Fantasy Football, on Twitter at Armchair FF Pod. I'm on Twitter at Armchair Kingpin. John is on Twitter at John2977. I'm not sure what Ernie's Twitter is, but I'll let you guys know so you can send him DMs.
It's his lucky13 at twitter.com.
You can email us at armchairfb@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Podbean. You can find our videos on YouTube. They're wonderful. They're raw. They are public service access level productions right now, but we'll get better. But we got our neat little set, and we're getting used to being videoed now. It's great. So just search us on YouTube, Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast, and there we be. So let's get to some news.
Okay, first bit of news. Cam Newton has already been ruled out for Week 6, but the inspiring news was he was seen without his walking boot. Initial reports are saying that he's still a week or two away from playing because of his Liz Frank injury.
Yeah, I don't know if people are going to be able to hold on to Cam, depending on your league. I know we have our tag team league, there's only 5 bench spots, so he might be on your waiver wire in situations like that. If he is, I would definitely grab him. A healthy Cam Newton is a really good fantasy quarterback to own. Or you try to, buy low on him, I guess.
Yeah, this is a package deal here of news here. We're going to cover the Steelers. James Washington is questionable to play for Week 6 with a shoulder injury.
Which doesn't really matter.
No, Deontay Johnson has actually done more, or Juju actually has. Yeah. Jalen Samuels is out at least a month after his knee scoped. I appreciate that. You just made me waste a bunch of fab money on you.
Is this a mosquito? How is this a thing? It's October. It's like a mosquito.
It's a winter mosquito. The other bit of news is Mason Rudolph. If you didn't see that hit, it was pretty brutal.
So can I just say something about this? The NFL is pretty rich, right? They got a lot of cash.
Yep.
First of all, how do you have a motorized stretcher that doesn't work?
Oh, that was a slap in the face right there. The guy goes down. He's basically knocked out. And then the motorized or whatever, the four-wheeler, whatever you want to call it, dies.
And then there's 2 of them on the field. 2 of those motorized stretchers, yes. Presumably 1 for each team. So how do we just not go use the other one? Even if that one doesn't work, why don't we have like an OG stretcher that you just pick the guy up and they carry him off?
How about
look like Weekend at Bernie's, dude, getting carried off the field.
All I can think of is that music and him doing the burning.
This is like Weekend at Bernie's, man. It was brutal. Come on, NFL. You gotta do him better than that. I don't like Mason Rudolph, but dude, that guy got knocked the you-know-what out. He got knocked the bleep out. And then they're carrying him off like Bernie, like Weekend at Bernie's. It was embarrassing, man. It was bad.
And so with Mason Rudolph doesn't look like he's in a clear concussion protocol anytime soon.
You think?
Delvin Hodges will get the start this week. Mason
Rudolph, I'm trying not to laugh because it's not a funny situation. This dude's lucky he's alive, man. He folded. When he got hit, he folded. It was awful to watch. Sort of like my fantasy football team that scored 150 points. But just got knocked out, just got folded.
Yep, no card for you. You didn't get even cared
Nope, I didn't even get the stretcher. I got Weekend at Bernie's.
Next bit of news, Sam Darnold has been cleared and will start Week 6 against the Cowboys, which should help this very, very anemic offense.
God. Good news for Robbie Anderson. Good news for Bell. I don't know. This guy, Luke Falk. What the Falk, man?
He's awful.
I don't know who's worse, him or Mason Rudolph.
I think
Falk. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL right now. One of them has a sweet matchup this week, which you and Noah might talk about. Kyle Allen, he's got a great matchup. But, yeah, it's good. This is good. This is good for anybody. This is good for Jamison Crowder. We saw Week 1 what this team was capable of. And Chris Herndon's back too, John.
Yep, so that should be another weapon.
I don't know if that's the new news. Probably is, but...
He's back from suspension. We'll just talk about it now. So that's definitely an upgrade for their tight end.
But that helps Robbie Anderson as well. So Robbie Anderson's on an island. He's by far the best receiving weapon they have if you don't want to count Le'Veon Bell. And his quarterback is just trash, a guy that shouldn't even be in the NFL. So Darnold's definitely going to rise the tide.
Well, Demaryius Thomas does help Anderson
and Thomas
a little
is
bit.
there too.
Yeah.
I thought Thomas went on IR, and then all of a sudden I saw he was good to go this week.
He just missed a week.
All right, my bad.
So, other news: Evan Ingram is unlikely to play this Thursday because of a knee injury. Gallman and Shepard are both out still with concussions. And Barkley was trending towards playing. He has not been ruled out yet, but he may not play. I would bank on him more not playing, based on the fact that this would be record time that if he came back. I hope he plays too.
There was an outside shot that he was playing this past week.
Yes.
So the reason I hope he plays is because if Barkley is out there, I think Daniel Jones is a sneaky good play this week. And yes, I'm aware that New England is the number one toughest defense against quarterbacks. But who have they played, guys? I mean, Big Ben week 1, that wasn't Big Ben. I don't know who that guy was, but it wasn't Big Ben Roethlisberger. In week 2, they played Miami. In week 3, they played, help me out, John.
Jets?
Was it the Jets? No, they played Buffalo in week 3. Josh Allen's pretty good, but he also got knocked out of that game. And this past week, they played against Colt McCoy, who has never been anything in his entire NFL career other than a solid hand at third-string quarterback. So, who have they played, John, is the question.
They haven't faced
Not much.
They haven't faced a high-caliber quarterback yet.
And I'd argue that they haven't faced a high-caliber running back yet either. So, if Barkley's out there, he's going to take a lot of pressure off Daniel Jones, who now has Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and Evan Ingram. Could be a sneaky good play this week, but you got to see Barkley out there. I have him on my team. If Barkley's playing, I think I'm going to start him.
I'm starting him.
New England has not been tested yet. I mean, I'm talking to Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I think I'm starting Jones if Barkley's out there because New England, this is vintage New England. They get the sweet schedule, and then when they get tested, it comes out of nowhere. You know, there's always been trap games with those guys. I remember watching Cleveland versus New England at Smitty's one year, and Cleveland blew them out. Back when the Vanilla Gorilla, Peyton Hillis, was around.
Vanilla Gorilla, wow.
So anyway, it could be interesting, but you really want to see Barkley out there. There was an outside shot he could play this past week, so it wouldn't blow me away to see him play this week, guys.
Other news, Bills' Zay Jones has been traded to Oakland for a 2021 fifth-round pick, so my initial thoughts are Tyrell Williams' injury is worse than thought, but he has been put on injured reserve, but Zay Jones could serve as a replacement for a few weeks, or they may just be adding depth.
Traditionally, you see really good, talented receivers in Oakland not do well, and then they go elsewhere and do well. So maybe this will be the reverse effect of that, because Zay Jones is a very talented wide receiver. I feel like John Autumn, because Hunter Renfrow hasn't shown anything.
Nothing.
So if you own him, he's cuttable. I have him in Dynasty, and I almost thought about cutting him there as well, but a little too early for that. But Zay Jones could end up being fantasy relevant over there, John. I mean, it's not a bad idea if you have a roster spot to burn to go pick him up and just see what happens. You know, he could flourish there. He's very talented. They wanted him to be the number 1 in Buffalo. It just never happened.
It just never panned out. Other news, Hunter Henry is not yet ruled out for week 6, but still could be a week away or two. I'm hoping that he actually plays this week, as I would have Henry back.
Yeah.
So
if Henry's out there on the waiver wire, guys, and I've seen that he's available, and we're gonna be a little, unless you're listening tonight, we're gonna be a little late for waiver wires, but
no, we'll have it out tonight.
Right, but a lot of people listen on their commute.
Okay.
But anyway, Henry could be a league winner for you if he's out there on the waiver wire, and I've seen that he's available in 50% of leagues, John. Which I always look at these numbers and I'm like, what leagues are these? Because they're never in our
Have
leagues.
you ever seen any of these discussions, like how people trade? I'm just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time on who to start.
But that's a legit stat. 50% of leagues in some platforms. So definitely, if that's the case, he's the number 1 waiver wire ad this week because he could be a league winner.
Speaking of not adding any, don't add any Patriots tight ends because they're basically irrelevant. And the Patriots have released Ben Watson.
And I'm not picking on you because a lot of people had this take. Do you remember when Matt Lacoste was the sleeper this year? And what did I say? There's this misconception that New England tight ends flourish. Unless they're named Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski, and back in the day, Ben Coates, then no, they're not. They don't flourish there. And they have so many weapons there. They don't need the tight end. So did they cut Watson or
They cut Watson.
They did finally cut him because I know that there was talk that he just wasn't quote unquote on the roster, and that he was available to look into other teams. So
this could be the week though. You may see the tight ends used more. It could be wrong. Burkhead, Edelman, and Josh Gordon all had limited practices today. Philip Dorsett did not practice at all. It's looking like he's probably trending towards not playing. So
yeah, who's a sneaky play, and I'm gonna struggle with this one because I do not have him on my notes, but there is a receiver that is very good.
Jacoby Myers,
yeah, he's very good with the short to intermediate routes, and I think that's what you're gonna see a lot of, because that is typically how the Giants get carved up, is in those short. The Giants are not built to go against New England, because New England is the type of team that almost exclusively throws short to intermediate routes, and then Brady lets receiver do all the work. Well, that's not good, because that's where they're most susceptible over in New York. The linebackers are not good, so Brady's a must start this week, and I think Edelman will play. If he doesn't, though, Myers could be a really sneaky start.
David Johnson will be monitored all week. I guess he complained of back tightness the other day. Chase Edmonds got the run. Something to keep an eye on. He may still be able to play, so I don't know if this is something. They're not calling it an injury. They're calling it back tightness.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. This is the type of thing, John, where you hear back tightness, yeah, and then the next day, IR. I mean, it really is. I'm just saying.
No, I know.
I've seen that happen before. Chase Edmonds is probably the number one ad for running backs this week on the waiver wire. But, and I don't know if you have it in your news, probably not, because McCaffrey really, I don't know, there's not much coming out about it, but his backup,
Reggie Bonifant.
He broke a big run for a touchdown, which would have been the 5th touchdown for Christian McCaffrey, if anybody's counting.
Lucky 14 doesn't go, though.
He's very similar. He's like a poor man's McCaffrey. He can catch passes. He's almost like a Wayne Gallman to Saquon Barkley. He's decent at catching passes. He's decent at running. He would be a guy that if McCaffrey went down, that's a league winner right there, too.
And I mean, I love McCaffrey. I have him in one of my leagues, and what scares me about McCaffrey is his usage. I don't know if he can sustain at this rate. It's unheard of. Like,
I would be concerned as a McCaffrey owner.
100% usage every week. This would be the first week. I think he got 95.
And he's built himself up. He's worked on his frame, his build, but he's still a small guy. I don't want to say small, but he's still not. He's not Barkley. He's not Leonard Fournette. He's not a beast of a man. He's a regular guy.
Yeah. What scared me is when he did that diving touchdown. He could have landed on his neck. He could have landed on his wrist and broke it. I mean, I get taking those shots to get into the end zone, but it's just.
But sometimes at some point you got to think about the player, and they have a lot of dynamic playmakers like Samuel and DJ Moore that can do the same stuff that McCaffrey can.
I think it just concerns me his usage. It's beyond, like, it's going to be a record this year at the rate he's going, and he'll also set a record for all-purpose yards that Chris Johnson holds.
Yeah,
he's on pace for it.
Yeah, he could. He could if he can survive.
Speaking of surviving, AJ Green has ruled out this week again.
This team needs to just trade Green, cut their losses.
As far as I know, the Green trade is not going to happen. He has mentioned he wants to die a Bengal. So
that has to be okay. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to date Jenny McCarthy, but sometimes that has to be reciprocated.
As far as I know,
Jenny McCarthy would have had to want to date me.
As far as
had the poster on the wall and everything. Man, it was great.
As far as I've read, the Bengals are interested in signing him an extension. I think it's the money problem.
That's stupid.
So I don't know every detail of this. I know right now it's trending towards an extension, but I know money's a factor. So AJ Green could take a pay cut here. I don't know if he wants it. It sounds like to me he wants to stay a Bengal. I don't know if it's the opposite.
I mean, Cincinnati's one of the most poorly run organizations that I've ever seen, so it wouldn't surprise me if they dumped a ton of money at him. But we've seen John Ross has got skills. Tyler Boyd's a great receiver, man. I went out and traded for Tyler Boyd. I traded O.J. Howard. I traded Mohamed Sanu and a 4th-round pick for Tyler Boyd and a 9th-round pick. And I would do that all day long, dude. He's great. So I don't think they need Green. They're not winning without him, but I don't think they'd win with him either at this point. So
Redskins have fired Jay Gruden.
He gone.
I think he got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
If you didn't see on Twitter, there was a video released of him of smoking a marijuana joint. He had that going for him. He had the whole.
I did not inhale. Is that I was going for Bill Clinton, but I got more of King of the Hill out of that. So sorry.
You boys 18?
I did not. That was more of a Hank Hill.
I don't know if it was just that. It was a mix of this team not running well. So, on the other news of the Redskins, they declined to name a starting quarterback this
just
week.
A mess. Dan Snyder's a mess. That organization's a mess.
From speculation so far,
how many trains are going to go by here?
I know. I think that you may see Dwayne Haskins get the start.
I saw that
Snyder's big on Haskins. He's the one who wanted
Snyder's an idiot, and if the only thing. There's one step away from that organization completely folding, and that's him being the head coach, because that would be the nail in the coffin.
Sounds like
the guy that's coming in there. I think was the offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator.
He wants to run the ball, and he does not want to put Haskins in there right now. Is what I saw today. Yes. What is going on, man?
It's the hype train for Haskins.
Hype train. Sometimes I can hear the train on when we listen back, and sometimes I can't. But the train that's going by must be like the Polar Express, man. It's like I'm on fire today, John.
So speaking on fire is the Jags. James O'Shaughnessy is ACL is he tore his ACL this Sunday. He's out for the season. Swam will serve as the primary tight end there.
Jeff Swaim is actually a guy that I was looking at in the offseason as a sneaky pickup because Foles was so likely to throw to the tight end. Minshew is not necessarily, but if Foles comes back, he might be a guy to pick up.
I mean, from what I'm seeing so far, Chark is the favorite target there so far. Yep, he is the favorite target there.
No, there's no doubt about that.
He's actually used the tight end more than Mercedes Lewis was ever used there. Or who's the other one? Austin Severian.
ASJ.
Yep.
Didn't he start the season there this year or something?
No, he's on the roster. I think he got cut during the preseason.
ASJ is just not the guy I hoped he would be.
Other news: Jordan Howard will get more carries for the Eagles. He's done a good job, I think. As much as I hate to say that,
he's done a good job until he doesn't.
That's Jordan Howard. 32 fantasy points.
He's Mr. Inconsistency.
So
Miles Sanders is 10 times the running back that Jordan Howard is.
So wait and see. I mean, it could be hype, could be nothing. Don't read into it too much. So wait and see approach.
Hype train.
Two things left for injury, and they're both Chiefs news. Patrick Mahomes injured his ankle this past Sunday night. I don't know if you saw. He injured it, I believe, in the first quarter or second quarter. Then he got stepped on again by his own guy in the third quarter.
Sorry.
He was limping pretty bad. I don't know. I haven't heard.
Can I buy low on him?
I don't know if you can buy low on this guy at all. But I don't know what his extent is. I don't know if he's playing. Who is the next man up there?
Isn't it Deshaun Kaiser? I could be wrong.
Is it Kaiser?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But that tells you no one knows his backup because we weren't prepared for.
I do not know.
I think Mahomes will play. I really do. But wait and see. Other news, though. Sammy Watkins, as always.
Oh, no. Isn't it like... I don't know. I'll find out.
Sammy Watkins hurt his hamstring. He can't stay
Sammy Watkins hurt?
Yeah.
He helped us win, by the way. He goosed them.
Yes. He got hurt. That actually helped us.
Yeah, that was great.
So that's it for news.
I really enjoyed his injury, which maybe that's why God hates me.
It's karma.
So anyway, we're getting into games here. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Can you look up while I start ranting on the Cleveland Browns? Can you look up the backup quarterback in Kansas City? Not that it really matters because Mahomes is going to play, but
I think he plays.
I'm intrigued by that because I have a mental block. Is it like Matt Moore? It's probably some boring guy like that. Wikipedia?
Why? Why am I getting Wikipedia?
Jeez, man. So I'm going to buzz through San Fran real quick, and then I'm going to talk about the more topical team coming out of Monday Night Football. And we're going to start with Monday Night Football and work our way back. San Francisco's legit. I mean, this team's good. And Garoppolo doesn't always have to be good for this team to win. He only threw for 181 yards. He did throw for 2 touchdowns. QBR 52.7. Not great. 20 for 29. They didn't throw a lot. They didn't need to because Tevin Coleman had 16 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown. Matt Breida had 11 carries for 114 yards and a touchdown.
Thank you, Burrito.
And Mostert dished in a little bit, 7 for 34. Nothing that's going to help you on the fantasy box score, but Breida and Coleman, now with Coleman back, this is what this team wanted. They wanted to run the ball. They got 2 guys that are talented. that can split the workload and both be productive. So that's really encouraging to see, John. Especially we had Matt Burita, and also just to throw this out there in the receiving game, Burita had 3 catches for 15 yards and another touchdown there. Burita ran for 10.4 yards a carry, John, on 11 carries. So that's not on 2 carries where one of them was like, you know what I mean? That's a legit number. And what did I say, dude? You said it too. Matt Burita's legit. He's legit the best back on that team. He did a great job.
This offensive line is legit too.
It is.
Did you see those holes? You could put anybody through them last night. They were those blocks were perfect.
It was great.
This team, everybody's hyped the Browns up all offseason to be like playoff contenders.
The 49ers are what the Browns were supposed to be.
Yes.
We'll touch on the Browns.
Yeah,
but
Shanahan's done a really good job here, I think. He's turned this team around defensively. Picking up Bosa, DeForest Buckner on defense. They've gone off after a lot of guys here. This team actually deserves the respect. They are the only other undefeated team other than the Patriots.
George Kittle is back to the George Kittle that we're accustomed to seeing. Not that he's been bad this year, but this is more what we're used to. 6 catches for 70 yards and his first touchdown of the season, John, which is amazing to me.
Just getting warmed up.
Other than that, it's very frustrating, the receiving game in San Fran. Marquise Goodwin, 3 for 41. Kendrick Bourne, whoever that is, 2 for 24. Chick caught a couple passes for 20. Of course, Burita, as we mentioned. Then Dante Pettis, 1 catch for 11 yards, and Deebo Samuel, 1 catch for 3 yards. Really disappointed in Deebo Samuel, John. I have him in our league of record, and I'm not ready to cut him. I had a fleeting moment where I had thought about it, but I really do think that Samuel's going to break out this year. He's by far the best receiver they have, and I think eventually he's going to get more love from Garoppolo. But the problem is, can Garoppolo support more than one guy? And that guy's always going to be George Kittle.
It's going to be George Kittle.
Yeah.
And if not, then it usually goes to Breida, usually. They utilize backs in this system a lot.
And Coleman will catch some passes, too.
Yeah. It's just a matter of who's going to be the second.
He didn't catch any of this game, which was weird.
Actually, what wide receiver? I shouldn't say which tight end or running back, but which wide receiver is going to benefit the most once this team gets rolling?
I think it's Samuel. I don't know who you think it is, but
Goodwin
is one of those two.
Garoppolo had a good connection with Bourne last year near the end of the season, but he also had a good chemistry with Pettis last year too. So who knows at this point? So wait and see, I guess. But Samuel's got the skill to shine the most, I think.
Yeah. So, Cleveland, there's a lot to unpack here. So, let's start unwrapping. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna start on the positive with Nick Chubb, 16 carries for 87 yards, and that's about it. Odell actually had a couple carries for 15 yards, which was almost as good as his 2 receptions for 27 yards. Had a critical fumble as well.
He was also the better quarterback here.
Yes, he was. Yes, Mayfield had 2 fumbles, and so let's move on to Mayfield, man. They threw. This is just. What did I say last week? Do you remember what I said? Do you listen to me? What did I say about Baker?
He's overrated?
No, I said he would. You need to listen to me. Listen back to the show. He's a cut candidate. That's what I said last
week. Oh, no, you did say that, yeah.
I said Baker Mayfield is a cut candidate. And everybody acted like, oh, it's Baker Mayfield. Oh, and I'm like, look at what he's done so far. And one of the big things, John, that makes him a cut candidate, by the way, 8 completions, on 22 attempts for 100 yards. He averaged 4.5 yards per attempt. That's a good running back number. Not so much for a quarterback. And 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times. And by the way, his QBR rating is 1.4. So the sack thing is is kind of the nucleus, I think, of the problem for Mayfield. If you watch Mayfield last year, he threw to the open man. Well, now he's staring down receivers. And he's making a few good, tough passes, but he's not making any of the easy ones. What does that tell me? And John, you played football at a semi-pro level. You didn't play quarterback, but you played football at a semi-pro level. That tells me that he is so worried that his offensive line is going to fail him that it is now in his head.
And that just triggers everything.
Yes.
So
that's that snowball effect, and it gets worse and worse and worse. The problem is, when I look at it, and this is why I think Baker Mayfield's a cut candidate, that offensive line's not going to improve unless they have some blockbuster trade, like a Laramie Tunsil situation.
I don't
see that happening.
You get the trade deadline, 2 weeks away, I think? About 2.5? I don't see them getting any upgrades here this season.
No.
But the line...
And look at his schedule. I'll pull it up.
But also, the other part of this, though, if you're going to look at it as well, is the line really this bad, or is it his decision-making? Because Chubb has not
I think the line has caused his decision-making to be very poor.
Well, I know
I
know what you're saying. I'm not saying this. The line's not giving up sacks. Chubb is finding a way to run the ball here. So I'm not knocking Chubb here or knocking the offensive line. I'm saying the offensive line is not horrible, I don't think. I think it's also a mixture of Mayfield making bad decisions or staying in the pocket too long instead of just throwing the ball. I believe I read this morning Mayfield, out of 34 quarterbacks that have played significant snaps, Mayfield is 29th out of 34.
Yeah, no, he's
bad.
Not even startable. And he might be startable this week versus Seattle. It's an okay matchup. It's not a great matchup.
He's a streamer at this point, if you're lucky.
But is he, though? Because listen to this.
If you're lucky.
Week 8, Week 7, he's on a bye. You're not starting him then, but you might get more points than you got last night. Week 8, New England. Toughest team against quarterbacks.
Will not start him.
Week 9, Denver.
Maybe, but I'd rather not with Chris Harris company.
At Denver.
No, definitely no.
Week 10, Buffalo.
Nope.
Week 11, Pittsburgh. Been playing a lot better the last couple weeks on defense. The next startable game for him that you can probably bank on a really good performance, John, is Week 12 versus Miami. At home. Then guess what? He goes on the road to play Pittsburgh. And then Cincinnati, and then Arizona. So if you can get him for the playoff run, you might be on to something. But he ain't going to get you to the playoffs. In a Week 16, he's got Baltimore, who's also been susceptible to quarterbacks. But my point being is, for the vast majority of the remainder of the fantasy season, Baker Mayfield's not going to do you any favors. He's a cut candidate. And if you can get somebody, if you can sucker somebody in to trade for him, Noah has Baker Mayfield. And I said, cut candidate. And he's like, well, he will be after this week if he doesn't perform. And he might not, dude. So all ships rise with the tide, right, John?
Correct.
Well, they also sink with the ship. So Jarvis Landry is the closest thing, John, from a receiving option that is the closest thing to being a bankable guy on that offense.
He's still staying steady targets here. And I think it's like I said a couple weeks ago. It wasn't last week's show. But I did say that Beckham would be the one, if he would see more of the double teams. And from what the stats are looking like the last few weeks, he is seeing the double teams.
I don't want to brag, but what did I say in the offseason? Jarvis Landry is going to be, in a lot of situations, more valuable than Beckham. And Beckham's presence will help Landry's more than vice versa, because he's going to draw the double teams. Landry will be where he needs to be. In a PPR league, which most leagues are now, Landry's going to be fine. Odell Beckham is panic time.
Yeah.
It is officially panic time. And I've had people say, John, well, why do you think Odell Beckham, DJ, is worthy of panicking over, but DeAndre Hopkins isn't? I'll tell you why. Why do you think that is?
Because Mayfield has not played like Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
Deshaun Watson,
exactly.
Perfect example. We'll go into his stats more, but he had a great week.
DeAndre Hopkins has proven to be great regardless of the quarterback. Odell has not proven that. Odell has never proven anything to me as an NFL wide receiver, frankly. He's got a price tag on him. He's like a Ferrari with no engine sometimes. You know what I mean? And
he's treated as the top receiver when he literally has never played a full season. I think he came close one time.
He has never been a top 3 receiver, ever.
No, he's been.
And it ain't going to happen this year.
No, definitely not this year.
And DeAndre Hopkins has, as you alluded to, also has Deshaun Watson. So that's why there's a panic level for me for Beckham, and there isn't a panic level for Hopkins. I'm panicking about this whole roster. Nick Chubb has a good baseline and a high floor. Landry has a good baseline. not a high floor. It's just bad, dude. If you own Browns, and you know what? I hate to say this, but you and I both are superstitious when it comes to football, specifically fantasy football. Maybe the Browns are just the Browns.
Yeah, that's been talked about too. Like
Maybe the Jets are just the Jets. Maybe the Dolphins are just the Dolphins. Maybe, Buffalo's just Buffalo and they're always doomed to never amount to anything. If you're a Browns fan, you must be superstitious because there is a curse on this team. The level of talent they have, but it all centers again around the offensive line. So, good luck to you if you own Odell. Good luck to you if you're going to continue to blindly start Baker Mayfield and think that the offseason press clippings are going to equate to fantasy points for you. It ain't going to happen. Ready to move on?
Yeah, so let's start.
Do you have anything? I kind of dominated the dialogue there.
No, I chimed in here. I think it's poor decision making on Baker Mayfield. Landry, I think, is still a safer one out of him and Odell. This team just needs to figure out its identity, and right now it all starts with Baker's the leader, so
Yep.
he's got to get his stuff figured out. So maybe it'll take him being benched a game possibly to light him up. So wait and see. Starting to look like somebody compared him to this morning. Hey, are we seeing Johnny Manziel again?
I actually found that. I don't know. It was a meme. I think that's what the kids call it. And it was like the Scooby-Doo thing.
Yep.
And I can't remember. It was always like the ending of every Scooby-Doo.
The unmasking.
And for you millennials, Scooby-Doo was a cartoon back in the 70s. I think they brought it back. But anyway, they unmask and they're like, this isn't Baker Mayfield. And they take the mask off and they're like, it's Johnny Manziel. And he would have got away with it too. So anyway, we're gonna move on, and we gotta. That was a game and a team that's worth talking about. So we're gonna spend a little bit more time on some teams and not as much on others. Indianapolis Colts at Kansas City. Shocker here, 19-13. Jacoby Brissett, and you know what? I told you, John, that he's touchdown dependent. This game proved that he is touchdown dependent, but he's getting those touchdowns every week, John. He had only 151 yards passing, but he did get a touchdown to kind of save his day on the ground. Other than that, not a big day for him. It was a big day, John, for Marlon Mack. It was the return of the Mack.
And he wasn't even 100%, they said, too.
No, 29 carries for 132 yards. Excellent performance on the ground there. Also caught 3 balls for 16 yards. No touchdowns, but, I mean, with 132 yards, that provides a pretty good floor for you. Great day for Marlon Mack. Other than that, really not much to speak of. T.Y. had 4 catches for 37 yards. That's not a really great day for him. On the other side of the ball, Pat Mahomes had 321 yards with a touchdown, so he gave you your basic floor for a Pat Mahomes game. He had 3 carries for 17 yards, not much there. Damian Williams, 9 carries for 23. But not much there either, John. Byron Pringle was the pop of the day, other than Travis Kelce had 4 for 70.
No,
but Travis Kelce
with the Pringles.
Yeah, the pop of the day. Kelce had 10 targets, like 4 catches on 10 targets, John. So not his best day. But Pringle with six catches for 103 yards and a touchdown. Just the Chiefs just seemed off, John.
I think it was Mahomes injuring his ankle early on didn't help. He was limping significantly. He taped it up. But I think it limited his game. He wasn't as mobile as he was. I mean, he still looked good. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, he had a good game.
Yeah, but you take away that when he definitely got hurt in the fourth quarter, there was no chance of a comeback. He just was not mobile anymore.
But without Watkins, John, assuming he's out for a while, which typically he is,
hamstring,
when he gets hurt,
couple
especially
weeks.
a hamstring.
Yep.
Are you looking at Byron Pringle as an option? Is it Mecole Hardman? This receiving core, John, keeps dwindling. Hopefully Tyreek Hill's back this week.
I think where Hill practiced last week, I'm not taking a chance on Pringle unless you hear early.
I agree.
I think Hill comes back this week, and I think all systems go there. I thought he was going to be back Sunday night. I really did.
Yeah.
So I was surprised he wasn't. But
I think he should be good to go this week, and they're not on a bye.
And then the run game there. I mean, the Colts run defense was without Darius Leonard, and they still couldn't get anything going here. McCoy was non-existent in the run game.
McCoy was bad, and Damian Williams got the bulk of the carries, but I think you're going to see Damian Williams take that job back a little bit more. And LaShawn McCoy looked okay the first week, has not looked good since then.
So
the first week of Kansas City. So we'll move on to Green Bay and Dallas. I do believe, and I can't confirm this, but by the looks of the offense, I do believe Jason Garrett has taken back the helm. Just a bland offense. Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know if you watched.
I watched
first part of that game.
I'm going to tell you my.
Zeke broke a couple big runs.
Zeke was averaging 8 to 9 yards a carry in the first couple
drives. He
drives.
finished with 5.2.
Then there was a penalty. It was 1st and 5.
Yeah.
And then Garrett has him throw the ball. It made no sense. Like
he's an idiot.
He should be fired for his play.
He should have been fired a long time ago.
I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm sorry, but when your running back is averaging 8 to 9 yards a carry plus,
I know
you should be running that ball on first down no matter what.
Absolutely.
Second down, if it's 2nd and 4, you run again. It sets up for the play action.
12.
His play calling
carries.
was it got out of hand after the play.
I don't care if it gets out of hand. 12 carries, then you throw to the guy who's your best player. Mark Cooper had a great day.
There was a couple
Don't
times.
get me wrong.
Yeah, there was a couple times Elliott was wide open too.
Yeah, dude. And Michael Gallup had a huge day, 7 for 113 and a touch. Amari Cooper 11 for 226 and a touch. But that and a dime is not getting you a cup of coffee when you're writing an L on the calendar. And that's what Dallas did. They wrote an L up there because they didn't utilize Ezekiel Elliott, my opinion, and you guys can call me a homer, and that's fine, the best running back in the game. And they gave him 12 carries. And even if you don't think he's the best running back in the game, you're definitely putting him in the top 3. 12 carries for this guy. It's just a joke, man. But the beauty of Ezekiel Elliott is he gives you that baseline, dude. I got 17 points out of Ezekiel Elliott on a bad day. Next week he plays the Jets. Sneaky good against running backs. But hopefully the game script is more in his favor. Because when the game script is in the favor of Ezekiel Elliott, you get what you got last week. And it's a sweet thing to have. So, big games for Cooper and Gallup. Gallup picked right up where he left off.
I told you at the beginning of the season this kid was going to be good. I wish he would have gotten me in drafts.
And Dak Prescott had a huge day for you too. 463 yards and 2 touchdowns. 3 interceptions is not good. He needs to get his head on straight. Over on the Green Bay side, as we alluded to, 19 carries for 107 yards and 4 touchdowns for Aaron Jones, which is a once in a career. He'll never do that again in his career, probably. Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers is suffering because LaFleur is, I don't know. I don't know, dude. But they're winning, so A-Rod can't really complain. They are winning. But he's just not a big part of the process anymore. And maybe it's because Devontae was out, because MVS was trash, dude. Geronimo Allison was trash. Jimmy Graham was trash. Their best receiver was Aaron Jones with 7 catches for 75 yards. He needs Adams back this week badly.
Adams should be good to go. I know last week he was ruled out. I think it would be in precautionary.
It was close, but not close. It was,
I think he'll play this week. I'd be surprised if he doesn't, but if you're an Aaron Rodgers owner, I'd be a little concerned because they're focusing on this run game like we thought. We thought that maybe that one game where he went throw happy. I don't think so. I think the case is here. If they have the lead, they're going to run the ball more.
Yeah.
It's almost turned into like the Kirk Cousins kind of prototype.
Yeah, almost. It really is.
And it's scary because Rodgers used to be a top 5, top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
Now you're talking, he's not even a top 10 with these kind of numbers. Take away that 1 week, he's not a top 10.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's not. But I think that could improve, but if you're going and getting him right now in a trade, you can't guarantee that it's going to.
No, because it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. You watch Aaron Rodgers. He makes these tremendous throws.
And they're winning the games.
Yeah. And I think it's game scripted. They went up 14-0 on Dallas, so it's like, why should we throw?
But you're not going to play dumb Garrett every week who doesn't know how to call plays.
Well, that too.
So the game script isn't always going to be like that. So Denver and L.A., John, Phillip Rivers looked bad for the second time this year, at least. But he's Phillip Rivers. He'll give you great games and he'll give you crap
He was a
games.
letdown this week. I know that the Broncos
have a better D than people give them credit for.
Their secondary's better, but I thought
without Chubb.
Who's the heart and soul. I don't know if you guys know this, but the week that he tore his ACL, he knew it was torn in the game. He kept playing. Yeah. What does that say for him as a leader?
That's like an LT thing, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. He knew it was torn.
Oh, no, it wasn't LT. It was Phillip Rivers, actually, that played with it.
But he kept playing. But, it's just, it's weird like that. So I played Rivers this week thinking, I got a decent chance. He might throw a pick, but he did like 2-3 TDs. This offense looked awful. I mean, Melvin Gordon.
It did. Melvin Gordon dominated the carries, but 12 carries for 31 yards, not good. 2.6 yards a carry. Don't freak out because he's still getting his sea legs. Austin Eckler, 15 receptions.
That was
86
16
yards.
targets. Oh my! Mike Williams saw targets, but not great out.
But you have Chris Harris, and he's gloving up Keenan Allen. I mean, they got a really good secondary there, so they kind of took Williams and Allen out of the equation.
I kept reading from people, what happened to Keenan Allen this week? And I was like, Chris Harris?
Matchups. You got to start guys like Keenan Allen, but when they have tough matchups, you got to know that it may not go your way.
The stat line shows that he faced a great corner, and with 6 targets, 4 receptions, 18 yards, it opened up Williams' game, but Williams still had 13 targets, 6 receptions for 74 yards, so a decent day, point-wise.
Yeah, no, he had a fine day.
Other than that, everybody else was irrelevant. This team needs Hunter Henry back to open up the game more.
And Zay Jones, I don't think Zay Jones went to what is the answer? I don't know. Travis Benjamin's not the answer. They have no tight end to speak of. Virgil Green, Lance Kendricks, neither of those guys
I want
have
to
ever
speak
been
the Denver
good.
side stats.
Okay, Denver Philip Lindsay is, once again, he's getting pretty much the same amount of carries as Freeman, but he's separating himself from Freeman once again. 15 carries, 114 yards, a monster 7.6 yards a carry, and a touchdown. He was active in the receiving game, 4 catches for 33 yards. Cortland Sutton, man.
Oh, okay. That Cortland Sutton 70-yard touchdown, you take that away, Cortland Sutton didn't do nothing. And of course, who played Cortland Sutton this week? Ding, 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 that's me.
But if you look week to week, John Cortland Sutton has been sneaky good as a consistent wide receiver.
And Emmanuel Sanders dropped off the face of the earth this week.
He did. Yeah,
he did. 1 target for 9 yards.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's gross.
Tough stuff right there. So that's pretty much a nutshell, the Denver and Charger matchup. I wouldn't be too concerned with Rivers, but you can't start him against tough matchups like this. We had a bit of a fantasy bonanza in the next one, John. Falcons and Texans. Matt Ryan had a huge game, 330, 3 touchdowns, playing from behind all the games. So.
Like I said, I know we both said that Houston would win this game, but what did I say about Matt Ryan? He would put up another 300 probably. Yeah. He was Matt.
Well, when you're chasing it the whole time.
Yeah, so he had another, 5 consecutive games now of 300 yards.
Yep, Devonta Freeman had a decent game numbers-wise, but man, he does not look good on the ground.
The whole rushing does not look good.
He had 2.7 yards a carry. Ito had 3.8. Matt Ryan had 2.3. And he got sacked a couple times, so he almost had as many yards per carry.
Let me ask you this. Are you concerned about Julio Jones at this point?
No. Nope, I am not.
You think it's just the coverage, they've double teamed him?
I think they took him out of the equation, yeah, and sometimes that's going to happen. Man, I gotta tell you, I was wrong about Austin Hooper. I was just straight up wrong. Not that 6 for 56 is a great stat line, but he's getting you double digits in PPR every week. The targets are there. They're there when they're not necessarily. I mean, they were there for Jones, 7 targets, so it's not like they weren't going after him. But Hooper's the most consistent guy they have. As far as receiving,
so far, yes. Him or Sanu.
So good job, Jake. You called it on that one, and so far I am wrong. But we'll see. We'll see how it ends out. Ito Smith had 6 catches for 45 yards.
Not ish.
Yeah, so that saved his day. So, I mean, decent fantasy numbers coming out of this game. Obviously, Calvin Ridley had to catch a touchdown because he was going against me, one of the 50 touchdowns. But this is what's good about Atlanta. Even when they get destroyed, they will give you a good baseline. They will. So if you look at Devonta Freeman with 30 yards, terrible game on the ground, but he caught 5 passes for 40 yards. That's 12 points. Then you tack on a touchdown on top of that. That's 18. In a game that he did not play well. You know what I mean? So you're getting, because of the volume that this team has and the points that they score, they're giving you a good baseline. I want to talk about scoring points.
Houston went 8.
I won in Dynasty, and I'm not going to lie, I forgot to switch a Lamar Jackson with Deshaun Watson. I would have won by a lot more.
Oh my, Deshaun Watson went off.
I know.
So we'll go into Deshaun Watson. 28 completions on 33 attempts for an 84.8 completion percentage, 426 yards, and 5 TDs, but he also knocked in 4 attempts rushing for 47 yards. This is awesome. One of the better games that Houston had rushing the ball. Carlos Hyde, not fantastic, but the touchdown helped his day. He had 21 carries for 60 yards for a TD, and Duke Johnson, still being second fiddle here, 9 of 10 for 59 yards.
But he's better every week.
That's solid there, but he was not targeted much in the past game. 1 target for 8 yards.
Yeah.
Hyde 1 target for 0 yards, but the guy who went off today, Will Fuller.
And I tried, it's funny, last week, I tried all week to trade for this guy. All week. And I just couldn't do it. Because I knew this was the week that
you said it was going to be either him or QT, and QT didn't have a bad game either.
Problem is, Fuller's not going to do this every week.
Yeah, Fuller had a monster game. He had 16 targets, 14 receptions for 217 yards and 3 TDs. Hopkins, like we were saying, it's not time to panic because he's still at 8 targets. Fine. 7 receptions for 88 yards, so that's 15 fantasy points in PPR, which is still good.
No, that's solid.
QT, for only 4 targets, did his job. He had 3 receptions for 72 yards.
Yeah, he got you 10 PPR points.
So other than that, those 3 were the benefactors here. That, I mean, like you said in last week, Deshaun Watson was going to have a bounce back week, and he did.
Yeah. Moving on, next game, another fantasy bounty. Carolina 34 over Jacksonville 27. Gunter, my name is Gunter, and I have all sorts of mustaches and chest hairs, and I am beautiful. And he's getting better every week, man. Gunter's legit because, by the way, that's Gardner Minshew. In case you're wondering.
Everybody's like, who's Gunter?
Gunter just went against a Carolina passing D that's been pretty darn good.
And who they just shut out the week before? I'm trying to think. Oh, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. So that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Not that Gunter is not better than Deshaun Watson.
Minshew is better than Deshaun Watson?
No, I don't think that's what we're saying.
Oh, okay.
But he's good, man. He's good.
What did I say to you a couple weeks ago when Minshew started and I thought he had that good game and then he had another good game? I said he's going to help Fournette. He's helping Fournette.
And he really, really has, John. I'm waiting for the wheels to fall off eventually because he isn't. I think he's undrafted. Like
I don't.
Washington State.
I don't know what fires this kid up, but he is playing out of his mind.
He has got a little tiny sprinkle, and I only say this about one guy. But he's got a little sprinkle of the Kavorka. Just a little.
But he's got the Konami code now.
And he's got the Konami code,
He had 7 carries for 42 yards, which that's respectable, 6 yards a carry. He was 26 of 44 for 374 yards and 2 TDs. So that is very good against the Panthers defense.
He good.
Like I said before, Chark is his favorite target. He had 8 receptions and 11 targets for 164 yards and 2 TDs. D.D. Westbrook still sees decent targets here. 11 targets, 7 receptions for 82 yards, so not that bad. Like I said, he's been helping Fournette. Fournette had 23 attempts for 108 yards and 1 TD. So he continues. And then Fournette, like I said, does better with Minshew in here because now he saw the targets. Like I said, if he averaged 4 to 6, we saw 7 targets here, 4 receptions for 29 yards.
I'm going to get Gunter off you. I need Gunter back. I cut him for 1 week. I'm like, I'll pick him up next week.
Oh, and I picked him up.
And this idiot picks him up.
I may keep him, and I have to play him this week, I think. I almost don't have a choice.
No, Cousins has a better.
I don't trust Cousins against the Eagles this week. I don't know why. I think it's too good to be true, but I could be wrong.
Leonard Fournette, 23 carries, 108 yards, and a touchdown. That's what you like to see out of Lenny. 4 receptions for 29 yards on 7 targets. That's what you really like to see. Lenny is the guy that we thought we drafted finally, and hopefully that continues. Yeah, he's got where Minshew has a pretty good matchup. He's got a tough one because New Orleans is pretty tough against the run.
They are, but I think
they shut down Zeke.
Yeah, before the show started, though, you got to remember, Minshew will help Fournette because they're going to try to run the ball and may not look good at first, but I think if Minshew can pass on the Saints defense, which their secondary's not fantastic, their run D's better, I think it'll help Fournette open up the game and also play actions, too.
You know who Gunter has also helped? DJ Chark,
Oh, he's doing amazing.
He's the #1 receiver right now. The guy, 8 catches, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Once again, I'm surprised he didn't play against me. And then D.D. had a good game, 7 for 82. But the story here is DJ Chark. He is Gunter's favorite receiver. He's been kind of matchup proof. He's had some tough matchups, and he's come out unscathed with double-digit points in PPR. So if you got Chark and you're not starting him every week, please explain that to me. I don't get it.
He sat on a lot of people's benches.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I bet he was not started in a lot of leagues, and that's
in our keeper league, he was sat.
Yeah, and that's a bad call. Well, not by us, I can assure you. Kyle Allen, 17 for 30, 181 yards and a touchdown. Of course, that touchdown was to Christian McCaffrey, in case you were wondering. They even had McCaffrey throwing the ball, but he didn't. He didn't convert. He did not convert. So luckily, there was no passing touchdown to go on top of that. 19 carries. I mean, we went through the stat line earlier on. Christian McCaffrey went off. Reggie Bonifon also a touchdown on 5 carries, 80 yards. So he broke a big one for TD. DJ Moore looked good.
He looked more involved in this game.
Curtis Samuel didn't, though, and I think that's what you're expecting every week is one of those guys is going to have a good game and one of them's not. And you're flipping a coin on which one it is.
And this week it was Moore, not Samuel. Samuel's still seen his target share, though, 6.
He is, but I think Moore is the safer start. That's my opinion. And Greg Olsen, 0 for 0. So, just when you think he's back and he's a relevant tight end, well, he's not. He's not. He goosed you.
So what is the next game?
Next game's Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's actually a really good game. 26-23 was the final. Weekend at Bernie's didn't look that bad before he got injured. 131 yards and a touchdown. Oh, that's sticking.
I can't even. You gotta find the background music for that.
Jalen Samuels was just trash.
Oh, he threw the pick.
But you don't have to worry about him for a while. And then James Conner, 14 for 55 and a touchdown. 3.9 yards a carry isn't the worst I've seen, but not what you're really hoping for. He didn't get as much usage as I thought he would in the receiving game either, like he did the week before. That went a little bit to Jalen Samuels, but he only really caught 3 catches for 11 yards. The big takeaway was Juju Smith-Schuster got 7 for 75 and a touchdown on 7 targets, which is great. So he caught every one of his passes. They were often short passes, though, John, that he got the yards after the catch on, and he did most of the work. But I think he can do that. Is it sustainable? Can he do that all the time? I don't know, so that's why I think you're going to have some down weeks from Juju, but if he continues to get that target share, then he'll give you, I think, a good baseline. Other than that, nothing to see there over in Pittsburgh. Lamar Jackson, 14 carries for 70 yards, and that's why you start him every week, because he gives you that baseline. 161 yards and a touchdown, 3 interceptions.
That hurt.
Yeah, that one hurts. But he spread it out. Mark Andrews, 5 for 45. Not his best game, but he didn't kill you either.
It's his target share, though. It's still 7.
7 targets. He's getting pretty much most targets every week. Willie Snead, 4 for 51. Hayden Hurst, 4 for 32. That's kind of sad. Marquise Brown, 3 for 22 and a touchdown. He got hurt, right?
Who?
Marquise Brown?
Yes, but he came back in the game.
Okay, so interesting to... Oh, my God.
Listen to that hype. They're hyping on Marquise Hollywood Brown. The Hollywood hype.
Out of control. I think they can definitely hear it this time.
Oh, yeah, this one's louder.
Yeah. And on the ground, Mark Ingram, not a good day. He did get a touchdown to salvage his day, but 19 for 44, 2.3 yards a carry. Can anybody say Justice Hill? Is the Justice League on the horizon? Who knows?
I think it's still Gus Bus.
It might be, but I think at the end of the year, I've been stashing him, John, if you haven't noticed. I have not cut Justice Hill.
No, you haven't. You may be right. Ingram is slowly going down.
I'm a believer. So, yeah, that was, not a huge day fantasy-wise, but it was a great game to watch between those two teams. Even weekend at Bernie's looked all right. So, it's a pretty good day if that happens. Jets and the Eagles, John. It's really too bad that Sam Darnold didn't play in this game, because the Eagles' secondary is trash, and I think this would have been a really fun game. But Luke What the Falk was playing in this game, and he stinks. David Fales, he apparently played? Whoever that guy is?
He failed.
Well, he failed. Yeah, we got What the Falk and David failed. Just nothing to see there. Le'Veon Bell is still just the only beacon of hope.
I think right now would be a great time to buy it low on Le'Veon Bell.
I think it would, and even if you don't, even if you're an owner of his, maybe you want to keep him because 7 for 45 on the in the air, 15 for 43 on the ground. That's not great, but his numbers, fantasy-wise, are there every single week, John. And he's the only guy that's Darnold-proof, so to speak. Darnold will be back this week, it looks like. So Robbie Anderson, Demaryius Thomas, Jamison Crowder. As we mentioned, he's got the weapons. But Le'Veon Bell's really the only guy you're starting every week. John, talk about Philly. A lot going on over there.
Philly, Carson Wentz was 17 of 29 for 189 yards. Not a great game, but they didn't really need to do much here with the defense. He did have a TD. He doesn't really run as much as he used to. He had 2 carries for 5 yards. Jordan Howard seen the bulk of the carries. I would still say it's probably 60-40 here. Howard had 13 attempts for 62 yards and a TD. That did help him. He was irrelevant in the passing game. Miles Sanders on the other hand.
Sanders was not. Yeah, he was relevant.
9 carries for 15 yards, which
Awful.
is disappointing. But he had 5 targets for 4 receptions for 49 yards. Hungry Hippo here was Alshon Jeffrey. 8 targets, 6 receptions for 52 yards. And as always, Zach Ertz, 7 targets, 5 receptions for 57 yards and a TD that saved his day.
Zach Ertz might be the safest play every week, just in terms of safety.
For them, yes.
No, in fantasy.
No,
every week he's going to give you.
He's always going to get the same targets basically, and if he sees an uptick, great. But he's always safe for 5 to 10 targets.
Kittle's right up there.
Kittle's yeah.
But yeah, no, just a 31 points scored by Philly, but Jordan Howard got 1 touchdown. Ertz got 1 touchdown.
I mean, you had 2 defensive touchdowns in this game, so I mean, really.
That's what I was getting to, but my brain wasn't working.
Yeah,
well.
So you take that away, it was literally.
So it wasn't a huge offensive.
No, it was a 17-6 game. You take away those 2 defensive TDs, but those defensive TDs changed the whole fantasy aspect.
And with Howard, dude, like you said, he's playing well. Yeah, until he's not. Eventually, he's the most inconsistent guy in fantasy. He's gonna suffer eventually, and I'm a believer in Miles Sanders, so don't get too scared about him either. I don't think Dr. Jones needs surgery because I'm gonna get a little worried about this guy. 182 yards. We're moving on to Minnesota and the Giants, by the way. 182 yards and a touchdown and an interception. I mean, tough defense, right? Minnesota's not cake. They're not an easy defense to go against, and he doesn't have Saquon Barkley, and really didn't have Wayne Gallman either. So. Jonathan Hilliman, by the way, any interest on the waiver wire with him? I'm saying no.
No.
With all of his 2.2 yards per carry.
I think, I know they haven't ruled him out yet. I think Barkley comes back.
I hope he does. But back to Daniel Jones. He didn't even have the Konami code in this one. 3 carries for 12 yards. Evan Ingram actually carried the ball. They ran as many guys as possible. Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard got a carry. Gallman got a carry. Elijah Penny got 3 carries.
You get a carry. He's Oprah
Winfrey. Which might be a better coach than the guy they got out there now. But in the passing game, Darius Slayton with 4 for 62 and a touchdown. Sterling Shepard 5 for 49. And then Evan Ingram's also pretty safe these days, 6 for 42. Not a great day for New York from an offensive standpoint. But you go over to the Minnesota side, Kirk Cousins seeing some signs of life here. We're seeing a pulse, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns. But John Diggs 3 for 44. That's why I traded him, because he's just not. So he's just not part of this offense. He's not.
Thielen complains, yet he gets all the targets.
Yeah, well, Diggs did too. Let's be honest. I think Diggs didn't do it openly to the public. He did it behind the scenes, and he missed a practice. But he was out there. They didn't sit him.
No, they didn't sit him, but I think they punished him in a way.
So they both complained. Thielen gets 7 receptions on 8 targets. Diggs gets 4 targets. Dalvin Cook got more targets than Diggs. If you're a Diggs owner, now you can panic. Definitely. Yeah. And I was panicking last week, and that's why I traded him. The culture there is weird. Dalvin Cook is their guy. They love that guy. 21 carries for 132 yards, and he's producing. Again, 6 for 86 through the air. No touchdowns, but didn't really matter. He didn't need a touchdown with numbers like that. But the big takeaway for me in this game, John, is just Stephon Diggs. It reminds me about like the mean girls in high school that just start ignoring the girl that they used to be friends with, and they're just I don't know. It's just weird. It's really weird, and it's not good for Stephon Diggs.
I don't know. I still don't trust Cousins after this game. I knew they said they were going to throw more. They talked about it. They never solidified
all they did was throw Thielen and Cook.
Yes.
By the way, there is another takeaway. If you're a Dalvin Cook owner and you don't have Alexander Madison, you're a dum-dum.
Yeah, Madison looks
7 carries,
fantastic.
52 yards. Guy's good. He's as good of a handcuff as you're going to find out there. But, yeah, Diggs, man, I'm just a little nervous, and I'm glad that I don't have him at this point. I might go after him in Dynasty, John, in hopes that he's on a different team at some point. But as it stands, it's ugly. And Zimmer has never won crap over there, so it's only a matter of time before he gets fired, too. But, again, that's probably not till the offseason. So for this year, Diggs owners, I think it's too late to get anything of value for him, so you're just kind of you're sitting on him.
Well, remember, trade deadline ends the end of the month, so Minnesota's adamant that they're not going to trade him, but you never know. A sweet deal may come through. Yeah. They may trade him. Yeah. I mean, they could. We'll wait and see, I guess.
Yeah. You know who doesn't need a receiver? The Bucs and the Saints. They don't need Mike Evans apparently either. Saints did win this game 31-24. Teddy Bridgewater, 26 of 34, 314 yards, 4 touchdowns. Got a monster game against a terrible Tampa Bay Bucs defense. So if you have Kyle Allen, or if you need to stream somebody, Kyle Allen plays these idiots next week. So could be a good opportunity there as a streamer. But Taysom Hill, your boy, was out there. He threw a pass for 18 yards. Alvin Kamara threw a pass for 13 yards. So the offense was just running on all cylinders in this one.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater looked like gold here.
He looked awesome. Kamara did his thing. Not too great on the ground, but through the air, 6 for 42. This was a bad Kamara game, and he still got you well into the double digits, in PPR.
He got you, if I'm looking at this right, 10.
You got 6 for 42 through the air.
16 points.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a bad game for him.
Yeah.
So, but that's obvious. You're starting Kamara every week. Bridgewater was, I think, a top 5 QB this week. I could be wrong.
No, he was because of his 4 TDs.
But you can't bank on that every week.
Yeah.
But this week he was good. He got you. If you started him, he got you where you needed to be. Michael Thomas, 11 for 182 and 2 touchdowns. Not unusual to be a Michael Thomas stat line, though. A little bit out of the ordinary, but Thomas is... Like, Thomas and Kamara, I've never seen a team where just 2 guys are the offense. They really are. These 2 guys are the offense, and they do a great job. And they're fun to watch, and unfortunately I don't own them in any leagues. I would love to, but...
It seems like Cook has been more relevant with Bridgewater.
Cook had a good game, but I just don't... 4 for 41 and a touchdown's a great game for a tight end these days, John. But next week he could get you 2 points. He could goose you next week.
He could. Speaking of goose, actually before going to the goose, I don't know if anybody saw any of the videos on Twitter, Instagram. He posted himself. Drew Brees is throwing. I don't think he's back this week, but he is throwing and he looks sharp. He is wearing I don't even know what's the word I want to use. Like an attachment on his thumb? You know what I'm saying? It's not a bandage.
Inspector Gadget?
He's wearing something. You can see that he's wearing something. I don't know if it's like a thumb sleeve, but he's wearing something. But he could be back sooner than expected.
Jameis Winston, John. Famous Jameis was at it again with not a great game, not a terrible game. He gave you a Jameis game, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns. His upside is always for more, but decent game. He didn't hurt you in this one.
He gave you about 23 fantasy points.
Yeah. Ronald Jones, 9 for 35. Peyton Barber, 8 for 32. He added a touchdown, though. Again, I don't want any part of this running game in Tampa Bay.
Bye-bye, Boogeyman.
Well, Boogeyman ran once for negative 4 yards, and he had 2 catches for 27 yards. Until they give him more of a workload, Dare is
diarrhea.
He's a 3 to 5 point guy every week.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
An injury would be solidifying more for him.
Yeah.
To Jones or Barber.
It would. And Jones caught 2 passes for 21 yards too. So, I mean, I guess you could have worse bye week fill-ins than Jones and Barber. It's just ugly to watch. You know what's not ugly? Chris Godwin. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man.
Have you seen the photos of him
He's just
posted of him.
Is he godlike?
Yes, they're putting this picture on like Godwin. You just all making him look like God.
Well, he's God, then he and I need to talk after what he did in fantasy this week. But anyway, not him personally, but yeah, you know what I mean. 7 for 125 and 2 touchdowns, man. Chris Godwin was just towing the line for us in the tag team league, dude. I called the breakout, and you know what? A lot of people called the breakout, so I'm not gonna act like I was the only one. But
you know what you were
it's really
right.
good to see.
You know what you're right on, and you sold him out at the right time. O.J. Howard. Poof.
Yeah, I mean,
Arians doesn't like him.
When you have a coach that has when he doesn't like a player personally, and he's not mature enough to get beyond that, and understand that the player is talented and will help you win games. Arians is obviously one of those old guys, grumpy old guys that is immature, and he just refuses to use O.J. Howard. And maybe that's not it, but what the things I've heard Arians say and what I've seen on the field indicates that that's the case. And I mean, that's just silly. Trade him, because you can get something for him. Can you imagine? I thought of this in the car, okay? Not that they need him, because they don't need tight ends, as we talked about. But can you imagine if Bill Belichick got his hands on O.J. Howard?
Oh, it would be fantastic.
It would be Gronk all over again. Maybe even better, because O.J. Howard is that talented.
Don't forget, trade deadline. Never know.
They get Diggs and Howard.
Well, think about it. They have Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
And they use Cameron Brate more than they would do
Cameron
O.J.
Brate
Howard.
gets the end zone. Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind. So if you have Cameron Brate and you don't want O.J. Howard, then you probably should trade him.
Get some.
You could probably get a second-round pick for O.J. Howard. You really could. But
they're struggling on defense. And remember, Patriots have a lot of depth at
I
defense.
joke about the Patriots, but I'm just saying that would be a situation that would be unbelievable. I mean, look what could Dallas do with O.J. Howard? You know what I mean? So I just feel bad for O.J. Howard. I really do. And if he's not doing things on his end, as from a work ethic standpoint or an attitude standpoint, then that's on him. But that's where the coach sits down with the player and says, look, bro, this is a situation. You're really good, but I'm not getting from you what I need to. And if I do, we'll take care of you.
But see, now they could get some value out of him, but I have a feeling it's either going to happen in the offseason if they don't make a trade here soon, that they're probably going to end up releasing him, and someone's going to benefit from it.
If I'm a head coach and I know I have no use for this guy, I'm trading him.
Yeah.
I'm going to the GM, knocking on the door and saying, I don't need him.
They're going to end up taking a cap hit and releasing him.
Which is stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bears and Raiders, John. I'll let you do your. I'll let you roll through this one because this is your. What do they call it? Your victory lap. Take your victory lap.
So, what did I say about playing overseas?
You said weird things can happen.
Weird things happen, and weird things happen. Chicago Bears. I don't know if they're the number 1 D. I think it's the Patriots at this point. But we will talk about how the Bears are a good defense.
I don't know if the Patriots are the number 1 D.
Number 1 passing defense right now. They've given up no passing touchdowns.
Again, let's be realistic.
I'm just going by stats for now.
When you play Division 12 college teams every week, John.
Okay, by the stats,
take the Patriots.
So the Bears actually have looked really good defensively. Like I said, I don't trust the whole overseas game. And it always seems to be the opposite when they play in England and all this.
Yeah.
And
Bizarro world.
The
upside down. Yep. For you.
So Oakland, I'm watching the game on Sunday. Oakland jumps to a 17-0 lead in the second quarter. I'm like, my prediction's right.
To rub your eyes.
Chicago Bears come out of nowhere and score 21 in the third quarter. I'm like, wow, I might be wrong, but it doesn't look bad when everybody picked the Bears.
Yeah.
And then Oakland actually pulled this off and won 24-21. So, bizarre week. But Derek Carr did not pass any touchdowns, but he was 25 for 32 for 229 yards. Josh Jacobs here.
Dude, I sat Josh Jacobs because of this matchup. Now, in my defense, I started in the flex. I think it was Tyler Boyd, so I'm not...
No, nothing to complain about.
No, Tyler Boyd did great, but sometimes you have a guy on your bench that goes off, and you feel good about it. And this was one of those situations...
It's I can see why you sat him. The matchup was hard here, and you couldn't go off my gamble.
No. And I got the same out of the guy that I did start.
I wish I would have placed a bet on this game.
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I started MVS in my flex, so... I still would have lost it. In case you guys didn't remember, Ernie had like 7,000
he still would have scored 170 and still lost.
170 and lost. But anyway, No, this was good. This was a feel-good moment for me. The only feel-good moment I had this weekend coming out of our league record.
This is the usage you want to see.
This is what you want to see.
Yeah, Jacobs had 20, and remember, he missed part of the game. He came out for a little bit because they said he was hurt. I don't know what the extent was, but they said he was
I feel like they do that every game. I think that happens every game.
It could be a breather, I know.
Yeah.
But he had 26 attempts for 123 yards and 2 D.
Could be cramps.
Two
you know
TDs,
what I mean?
yep. 4 targets, 3 receptions for 20 yards. So, like I said...
And DeAndre Washington vultured a TD from him as
yes.
well, John.
So, imagine if he didn't... That could have been the time he came out, too. He could have had 3 TDs.
Yeah, it might have been.
On the receiving side, because not really go much into after Jacobs.
Yeah, it was a Jacobs show.
Receiving side, Foster Moreau had 5 targets, 4 receptions, 46 yards. Trevor Davis.
These names are why Zay Jones is going there.
And Waller, this is probably the worst game he had. He had 5 targets, 4 receptions for 39 yards. And this is against a Bears defense. He still did that.
Yeah.
So that's still, I mean, you had to play him.
Yeah,
but
9 different receivers.
Renfro doing nothing with his target. 5 targets, 1 reception, 12 yards. Nothing else to go into on this game.
Yeah.
I will give this Raiders defense actually, they gave up points, but they did help lock it up to win, solidify this game. Chase Daniel still managing the game. This is actually one of his better games. 22 of 30 for 231 yards. 2 TDs, but those 2 interceptions cost him.
Yeah.
Montgomery usage is going up. 11 carries, 25
It
yards.
is, but it's not where we want it.
Yep.
Neither are his yards per carry, frankly.
Yeah, and he had a TD. Montgomery only had 1 pass for 11 yards in the receiving game, which is concerning.
And again, with Montgomery, John, he's the type of running back. He's that Leonard Fournette type of running back that needs a
more
significant
volume.
amount of
He
carries.
needs more volume.
He's that Sony Michel type of guy that needs the volume, and he'll break a big run. Anthony Miller came back to life here.
Allen Robinson had 8 targets, 7 receptions for 97 yards and 2 TDs. Yeah. Anthony Miller out of nowhere here. 7 targets, 4 receptions, 52 yards. What we've been expecting all game. Tariq Cohen still being used in the pass game. 7 targets, 6 receptions, 39 yards.
Not quite what we expected, but getting there. I will tell you guys that I traded Anthony Miller. I traded Royce Freeman to get Anthony Miller in week 1 because I was that high on Miller, and it just hasn't happened. But it's good to see that spark. Maybe a guy to go get and stash just for the heck of it. But that was with Chase Daniel. So if Trubisky comes back, he probably disappears again. All right, a few more games left here, John. Bills and the Titans. Josh Allen was solid. He had 27 yards on the ground. He had 219 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns. Only 1 interception, which is pretty good for Josh.
And this is against a top
tough defense.
Yeah, Allen looked good. I mean, he deserves some respect here. He threw pretty decent here, 71% completion percentage, 2 TDs, so 1 interception. But this has been a top 5 D so far this year.
No, these guys are legit, dude. And then, back to Allen real quick, John. Just a funny side note. All week long, I was laboring over, do I start Daniel Jones or Andy Dalton? And it was almost that Josh Allen would have got me the most. I mean, he and Dalton were very close, and I didn't expect it. He was the one that I definitely
But I think you were concerned like I was. Yes, Allen was cleared from his concussion, but you didn't know if he'd be limited.
I mean, I wasn't too worried about that. I was worried about Tennessee. And
I
he
would
did a fine job, and I wish I had him this week because I sure could use him. By the way, when he comes back, he faces Miami. I'm all about that, actually.
Oh.
So maybe I'll get Kyle Allen this week just to plug him in there.
Kyle Allen has not thrown an interception, just FYI. He's not thrown any interceptions.
Yeah, and he can have good games. But
you know what I like about Kyle Allen? I actually started him in the Dynasty.
Yep.
It's the McCaffrey reception touchdown.
I know. McCaffrey does. It's like the Brady effect. McCaffrey does all the
I had Stafford on a bye this week, so I played Kyle Allen. I probably should have started Minshew.
Yeah.
But I played Kyle Allen, and I got 16 points because of McCaffrey, because of him. Let's be honest.
Over in Tennessee, Corey Davis and A.J. Brown come back down to earth.
Oh, Corey Davis, look, that's your game you have. But against me, you put up monster games.
Delaney Walker, 1 catch for 10.
How about Johanu Smith?
How about Marcus Mariota sucks?
Marcus who?
And John Smith had 1 catch for 57 yards, so I wouldn't really hang my hat on that. Derrick Henry, 20 carries for 70 yards.
I think Henry would have been better in this game because Buffalo is awful against the run. But when your quarterback is Mariota, you can't get anything going in the pass game. They were stacking that box.
I got 2 words for you, John. Are you ready? Marcus Mariota, and that's why we're moving on to the Cardinals and the Bengals, which kind of turned into a mini fantasy bonanza. Andy Dalton was driving me crazy the whole game. He literally, I think, got 20 points in our league of record in the third quarter.
A lot of it came in the third quarter. But what did I tell you? I was afraid it's not Andy Dalton.
Fourth quarter, mostly fourth quarter, I guess.
The thing that scares me about Dalton, I even said it when I sent a text to DJ, I said, it's not Dalton I'm scared of.
He was the right guy to start out of the three, though.
He was.
I nailed that one.
But like I had said, though, the reason I was scared about Dalton was because of his offensive line. He actually should have had more opportunities here, but he actually had a good game.
He had a great game. Got 27 points for us, for me, in our league of record. Joe Mixon, 19 carries for 93 yards. A good game, but they just don't know how to use the guy, dude. They only threw one pass to Joe Mixon. One pass. And you wonder why you lose every week. And this was a game they had a chance to win. And you don't use your best players, man. But I will tell you, Tyler Boyd's a darn good receiver, John. Oh, we weren't sure last year because, he doesn't play as good without AJ. Well, 10 catches for 123 yards and a touchdown is pretty darn good.
Oh, he shows
I haven't seen AJ Green in a long, long time. So he looked great. Auden Tate got a touchdown, so he had a decent game. That was pretty much it.
Eifert.
I mean, I thought Eifert was due for a really big game. This team was the worst against tight ends, and he just wasn't a factor.
And Auden Tate.
But part of it was Dalton, dude. He was so bad for most of the game. He really was.
Well, he was like running for his life.
Yeah,
That's the line. It's the line. I mean, it clearly shows.
It's pretty bad. It's tough, dude. It's tough. And he's got a decent matchup this week against Baltimore, but I don't think I can start him just because I feel like they're just going to turn it on and just annihilate the poor guy. Hopefully Tyler Boyd can give me some points. Kyler Murray, 10 carries for 93 yards. There's that Konami code. He's finally starting to show it the last couple of weeks. 253 yards in the air and a touchdown on the ground. So Kyler gave you a good baseline. I mean, Arizona controlled this game most of the game. They really did. Johnson, 17 for 91 on the ground.
Which he would have had more if it wasn't for his back acting up.
Yep.
Chase Edmonds came in 8 carries for 68 yards and a TD, which that really... Johnson still had 18
Edmonds
points.
Looked great. He got a touchdown as well, Edmonds did. And David Johnson, 3 for 65 through the air. So, and Johnson did not get a touchdown, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Other than that, John, Larry Fitzgerald gave you a Larry Fitzgerald day, 6 for 58.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Mr. Safety. What about Keyshawn? He didn't do much.
The 7 targets what I like to see because
Yeah, but he's not doing anything with them. And those targets are there, John, because they run so many plays. You know,
well, they run what? I don't even know how many plays a game. It's disgusting.
But,
a lot.
Larry gave you a good day. David Johnson had a really good day. Kyler Murray had a solid day. Surprised it wasn't better given that they played the Bengals and their defense is trash. But pretty good, solid fantasy outing by and large. But really not until the fourth quarter. It was pretty dull until the fourth quarter. So we have one more game, John.
Okay.
Are you? That game's the Rams and the Seahawks. What a game! 30-29 was the finish on this one.
You know, I don't like...
This was actually last Thursday's
Yeah,
game.
I don't like watching Thursday night's game, but this game was actually...
It was a great game. The last 2 Thursday night games have been good. Jared Goff, 395 yards and a touchdown. He hasn't been throwing a ton of touchdowns lately, it seems. Todd Gurley, 15 for 51 and 2 touchdowns. And he had only 6 yards on 3 catches. But still a good game for Gurley. Brandon Cooks, 1 for 27.
Which one of those...
That's on the ground, by the way.
Which one of those Gurley touchdowns? It should have been an Everett touchdown, actually.
Yeah.
They called Everett down at the 1 when the ball crossed the plane.
Yeah.
I don't know how they even got that one.
And Everett had a great game, 7 for 136. I know he's had a couple good games, but I feel like when Woods and Cooks are healthy and clicking, that he's going to be a non-factor.
Everett could be...
This is a guy that you could start next week and get 2 points out of him.
Who, Everett?
Yeah.
Yes, but he would be a decent bye-week fill in last week.
That's about all he is.
Yeah. I wouldn't start him as a starter until you see more, but he would be
Right.
a decent bye-week fill in to take a chance
He
on.
could be. Cooper Kupp, 9 for 117 and a touch. This guy's turning into a stud receiver.
I called it.
He's turning into one of the best in the game. Robert Woods, not so much. 5 for 48, but again, I think the performances for Everett might be an outlier, and then you kind of see Woods come back to form a little bit. I mean, 9 points isn't horrible, but it's not really what you want out of a guy that's probably your wide receiver too in your lineup.
And Cooks got hurt here.
Cooks did get hurt, yeah. But he had 1 reception for 29 yards, and he had 1 rush for 27 yards.
Oh, they took him right out of... I don't mean like literally they took him out of this game because he did get hurt, but I'm saying...
the 27-yard rush is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's still got the highest upside out of the 3, but Kupp is clearly taking the number 1 job here now. He is Goff's favorite target. I mean, like I said before, we saw it last year, the chemistry building. It's more there this year.
Yeah.
You can't even tell Kupp had ACL surgery at all.
No, the guy's a stud receiver. He's a stud.
Oh, yeah.
He's a stud. Plain and simple. On the Seattle side, Russell Wilson had another good game. 4 touchdowns, 268 yards passing, 8 rushes for 32 yards. So you're starting to see him run a little bit more. You got to, I mean, at this point, you have to have Wilson in your lineup every single week.
Russell Wilson right now is actually doing just as good as Mahomes.
Yep.
And he's not getting the respect.
He is. I don't know if that's going to be the case by the end of the year, but...
Yeah, but I mean, the guy's at like a 70...
But let's be fair to Mahomes. He
lost all his weapons.
Who does he have at receiver right now? He's making household names out of... Hear me out. He's making household names out of Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson,
a can of Pringles,
and pop goes the Pringles. So let's give him some credit here. Let's not beat him up too much.
No, I'm not beating him. I love Mahomes. I love the guy. He's great. But Wilson, I just think, every year that goes by, he doesn't get the respect he should. And
Chris Carson, by the way, was finally more efficient than Rashad Penny. But
I don't think he fumbled this game, though.
No, he didn't fumble. He had 27 carries for 118 yards, a solid 4.4 yards per carry. And then through the air, he had only 1 catch for 5 yards.
But it was a TD.
It was a TD, yep. But not what he's used to getting in the receiving game. But Metcalf had a touchdown, saved his day. Only 2 catches for 44 yards on just 3 targets. Tyler Lockett, only 4 targets. That kind of fluctuates with him from week to week. But he got a touchdown.
That TD was insane, too.
Yeah, it was nuts,
Yeah.
And then Will Dissly is a steady tight end, man. He's a week-to-week starter.
No, I think at this point, the last 4 weeks, ever since he's come in there, he's going to finish probably a top 5, maybe a top 5 tight end, possibly, like number 5 or number 6.
Cool.
He's seeing consistent targets. I told you Carson for some reason. I'm not saying...
I never said Carson was bad.
No, those 2 weeks...
Well, I did say he was bad.
Yeah.
I really don't think he's that good of a running back.
The 2 weeks that Penny missed, though, that was his opportunity to seize today, I think, especially with those fumbles.
Yeah, and I think he took that opportunity, but do you really need to be motivated by a guy coming back to actually perform well? You know what I mean? And in 27 carries, most backs in the NFL, if they get 27 carries, are going to break 1 or 2. So it's... I don't know.
But this is what we always talk about volume. When these running backs that should be seeing this kind of volume are Ezekiel Elliott.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It should be a Montgomery.
Zeke can make something out of nothing, but the Montgomerys of the world, the Sony Michels, the Leonard Fournettes, guys like that, the Derrick Henrys, guys like that need volume, and they will break a big run. And Carson's one of those guys. So when you're getting 27 carries, that's great. But I really still think that Rashad Penny's going to be... He's watching and waiting for the next 2 fumble games where he can strike like a viper. So before we go, I want to take a moment to mention our GoFundMe page at www.gofundme.com/armchair-fantasy-football-podcast. If you guys could support us by making a donation, then sharing it with your network, we would greatly appreciate it. We know that money can be tight. But if you like what we're doing, please know that even $5 helps us get closer to our goal. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll be happy to answer them. Help the Working Class Podcast continue to provide great content and keep the blue-collar baller dream alive. That's what it's all about, right, John?
Oh, it is. Love this.
We sincerely appreciate it. Even if you can just share the GoFundMe page, posts, and tweets, we thank you for that as well. And that'll do it for today. Tomorrow it was supposed to be you and Noah, but being the millennial that he is, his life is not organized. So I'm off to an AEW show, which is going to be really fun for me. So it's you and probably Andrew tomorrow. He's going to sit in with you.
We'll get it done.
Keep you company. Hopefully he doesn't freeze like last time. No pressure, kid.
We'll go over, we'll recap the week. Well, we'll not recap the week. We'll go over who's playing who next tomorrow, and we'll do start and sits. So
all that fun stuff.
I love start and sits.
Love start.
And then you guys can get my take of who's an upset who this week. I'll do that again.
Maybe you can. Yeah, maybe you can tell them who's going to score 55 touchdowns this week.
Only Ernie.
Yeah, probably. All right, catch you guys next time.
See you guys soon.
See you soon.